Today is a good day to celebrate lower gold and silver prices, but especially silver. Now I'm going to explain why gold got crushed and why silver did something very interesting. Let's talk about it as we explore. What an amazing day we had, and actually it occurred over the weekend when we saw there has been a pending deal with trade. In fact, the details of which center around the 90-day pause, an agreement to which negotiations will begin in earnest to set something up more permanent down the road. And on the onset of that, as we witnessed in last night's Market Open live stream, we do that every Sunday night on this channel. We watched the markets. We saw gold fall $50 and more right on the onset, right on the open. Well, that has now inflated to a $100 drop earlier in the day. Gold fell more than 3% earlier in the day as risk sentiment crept in following the announcement of a temporary deal between the United States and China to reduce tariffs. Spot gold being down that much, considered a hedge against economic and geopolitical turmoil, hit a record high we saw last month, just under $3,500 an ounce amid increased tariff uncertainty, according to Reuters here. In fact, they were saying it went over $3,500, but I think that was maybe in the futures price, but I never saw it get that high. I watched them very closely at that time, but nonetheless, the gold futures also settled about 3.5% lower, so it looks like there may be some more pain ahead for gold. Silver also fell, but not nearly as much, and that is sort of the miracle of silver. And especially after I posted a video this morning and talking about, could silver outperform gold? Could it essentially do that? And I think this is an example of what we saw today. And we saw this also happen in a previous market report. There are signs there that silver very well could do just that. But it is down today, down 12 cents, down 0.37%, not nearly as much as gold, which is now down $87, 2.62%, to $32.69 for silver. Now, just as the case with gold or silver, and whenever there's a dip like this, you buy on the dips. A good time to do it. And I'm tapped out right now. I can't do it, or else I'd try to be increasing my position with gold and silver. But nonetheless, Summit Metals is where I would go to shop, to check out, to see if they have the best deals out there. Shop around. At least consider Summit Metals to see if they have the deal for you. And so that Summit Metals is a great company. And as we move forward here, what does this mean for gold and silver? Well, gold, this, in a sense, is an argument that gold very well could be overvalued at this point. Dare I say it? I know a lot of people feel that it's got a lot of upside potential. I express a very unpopular opinion that we may be near the top. And the reason why I say that is because it has reached an all-time high when adjusted for inflation recently. In fact, when it got to that day when it went to almost $3,500 an ounce, that is what occurred. There's a lot propping gold up, but there's not much more to prop it up unless there's more geopolitical turmoil as well as domestic turmoil. And we don't seem to be seeing that today. The U.S. will cut extra tariffs it imposed on Chinese imports in April this year to 30%, down from 145%, and Chinese duties on U.S. imports will fall to 10%. From 125%, the two sides said. The new measures are effective for 90 days. In other markets following the deal, the U.S. dollar surged to over a one-month high, and global shares rallied. A stronger greenback could make gold more expensive for investors. In fact, looking at the greenback right now, it is definitely up above 100 again. It's up over 1.16% right now to 101.76. And that obviously weighs pretty hard. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up over 1,100 points. The Nasdaq is also celebrating this news, up over 4%. And the S&P 500 is up 184 points. So a lot of reason to celebrate. Good news, although obviously it's not cemented yet. But nonetheless, for 90 days, we have a reprieve, and the markets are celebrating that. And so that's good news. So we're going to see how this plays out. But June gold future bulls have lost their overall near-term technical advantage. Bulls' next upside price objective is to produce a close above solid resistance at $3,350. First resistance is seen at $3,250, and then at $3,275, according to Jim Wyckoff over at Kitco. Traders now await the U.S. Consumer Price Index data that will come out tomorrow to get direction on the Federal Reserve's policy path. Other key data due out this week include the Producer Price Index and retail sales. Lower interest rates raise the appeal of non-yielding bullion. Now, obviously, if those numbers do turn bad or worse than they expect, we'll watch gold climb up somewhat, but I don't think it's going to recapture what we saw just before the markets opened on Sunday. So I think we're going to see gold kind of, level out here. But, of course, there's other things that are bullish for gold heading down the road. If we see more central banks buy it, then I think that's going to be a big deal. But silver got my attention because it has now moved the gold to silver ratio below 100 to 1. It is now sitting at 99.33. And even though that's not a massive drop, it is enough of one that I think that people will start to pay attention to silver's potential here, not only as a monetary metal, as a precious metal, but also with what could be coming with less barriers to the supply chain with tariffs and more demand for this lovely metal for electronics and goods and services that are not going to be as expensive as what many people had feared. And keep in mind that, these tariffs, I understand they are taxes, but because they are being implemented on products coming into the country, does not necessarily mean that you and I are going to bear the brunt of that total cost. In other words, we may not eat the whole 30% of those goods and services being imported into the country. They may be eaten by Chinese companies or foreign companies and that type of thing, at least to some extent. They may share the load, to borrow a phrase from the Lord of the Rings. Although, I tell you what, I don't want to share any load of any taxation. I don't like taxes at all, but nonetheless, it isn't what we have. We have to deal with it. We've got to pay them in one form or another. We already pay it through inflation, that's for sure. But so this is interesting. This is good news, though, for silver, because silver is showing some resiliency here, folks. And this is promising, for sure. And so we very well could start to see the beginning of a further narrowing of the gold to silver ratio, which means that maybe, perhaps, the time of 100 to 1 plus gold to silver ratio may be over for now. Maybe. I'm cautiously optimistic. That's about all I can say. Cautiously optimistic about what could happen. But one thing that we do know is that gold and silver will preserve your wealth over the long course of time. Gold has far outperformed inflation, and silver has kept up with inflation. And when you compare it upon itself, silver really has done well. I know there's a lot of people that are frustrated in my comment section about silver, but I want to encourage you to take a look at silver's price, where it was last year at this time and the year before that, several months ago. And it does fluctuate, but look at this. I mean, remember, there was a time when we could celebrate any time above $30 an ounce. We're doing good, and we've stayed above that for the most part here. And right now we are above a certain resistance point, and that is $32.50. So we're going to keep an eye on it and see if we can breach that $33 an ounce again. But, looking at what happened today and how little silver has fallen. In fact, the other two metals, platinum and palladium, got crushed too. They're both under $1,000 an ounce. So silver has done well today. I think we can claim victory. And it really got my attention, and should yours too. It's a sign. Now, it's just an anecdotal thing for now, but this is the one of several that we've seen in recent months that is encouraging. It shows an encouraging sign for silver. And so I think that this is the time, I think, to consider your position, and at the very least, hold on to your silver. hold on to your silver. That's for sure, no matter what. I would not sell any unless there's an opportunity or a need, but it's always good to have a buffer so you don't have to sell your silver by having some dollars on hand. But there you go. Now, what I do on this channel is like to give you the daily news and analysis. I also do silver and gold stacking tips and tricks and showcasing of certain gold and silver products. So it's a precious metals channel, but I do variety here. So I hope you will check out the videos that I post. And I appreciate each and every one of you for being here, especially when I give a huge multitude of gratitude to my daily viewers. I really appreciate you guys. You're the ones that keep the channel going, and it means so much to me that you take the time to watch. And with all that being said, I want to extend a multitude of gratitude to everyone for taking the time to be here and for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.